Hello and welcome back to Two Labs Garage. Inside this garage here is a car that's been on the channel before, but it has been a minute. And it's always kind of been one of my favorite ones in the collection. I mean, it's one that you cannot miss. Unfortunately, it's been sitting in there several years to the point where now it's a revival. So let's get ready to revive the next car on the channel. Now, what's behind the door? Yep, like I said, it's been on the channel before. My 1964 Pontiac Tempest. I smell like pee in here. So anyway, what's going on with the Tempest? Well, several years ago, I think it was probably 22, sounds right, I went and I redid the steering wheel on it. Took the old crap one, made a budget one, made a video on it. And when everything was said and done, I came, put it in the car, and I had accidentally mushroomed the threads on the steering column. No worry, a friend of mine said he knew just what to do about that. He came over with his special tube, got him on, put the steering wheel on, showed it to me. I was happy. Well, I guess about a month later, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take the old Tempest for a drive. So I go to get in, and you ain't going to believe this, but the steering wheel is off. I asked my buddy about it. He said I told him to leave it off, so I guess I did. I don't know any reason he'd make that up. I also don't know at the same time why I would say something like that. But like I said, that was years ago now. Also, I'll say that approximately a year ago, I'd have to say, I was working on my 1980 Dodge pickup, trying to thrash to get it ready for something. And I found out that that carburetor was going to have to be rebuilt or replaced on that truck. And I didn't have time for that. And where I was working on is pretty much where the camera's sitting now. So I decided, you know what? This car never liked the carburetor I put on. I put an aftermarket Chinese one on here. Car never liked it. So I took it off. I put it on the Dodge truck. For whatever reason, Dodge truck loves it. It's still on there. Now, I have no carburetor. I did put a little something there to keep trash out. That was a smart move. So, no carburetor. No steering wheel. She's kind of looking the devil under here. And I cannot remember what this car's little tricks were. I know some, but you know, it's been so long, we got to do something. So, anyway, come on in here. I'll show you up close. Oh, and another thing that led to this car being parked, the area in front of it turned into a catch-all. We have an engine over here that I got for free, yay, 71 Ford Marine engine. But I need to get that in my engine shop. To do that, I got to get the transmissions out and that, whatever. But anyway, I got have some place for that to go. Also, I had a neighbor that was moving, and he had a whole bunch of new tools. I mean, brand new DeWalt drills and all that. Anyway, put it out by the curb in this, so that came and sat here. The carpet from the truck project, the jack, all kind of junk in front of this car. Alright, and I have not fooled with this thing at all before filming. So, anyway, you guys see what I'm seeing. Up under here, that's where I took the air cleaner off. It's hopefully a case somewhere around here. Gotta find the carburetor, not sure where it is. I do know I got a rebuild kit for it, but I gotta find that. That's almost certainly did. This car did have a parasitic drain. I mean, you leave this thing for a couple hours not running, battery's gonna be dead. So That's one of the things to figure out. Also, I'll show you right here, I put a old wire wheel over there so that keeps the trash out. Oh yeah, my throttle cable was sticking, so I gotta replace the throttle cable. That'll be fun. See, I think the exhaust donut's blown. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna have to snap the bolts off that because I'm certain that's what'll happen. Probably should go ahead and soak them now. But also I found a 1973 article in Motor Trend that's available digitally now that they talked about hopping up the six cylinders, how to hop up the straight sixes. And what it said to do was get a 292 intake manifold and exhaust manifold, especially the exhaust, because the opening on the exhaust manifold is slightly bigger. And I tell you, I have not been able to find headers for the cars. I see them for the trucks, but the 292 headers or 250 or 194, I thought with the A-bodies and the Camaros and all of it, you would be able to get fairly reasonably a header. And I found that not to be the case. I mean, for what a header cost, for one of these, I could get myself a small block Chevy. Transmission had good manners from what I remember. 2-speed power glide. Got the Pontiac 215 inline six engine, which my understanding, somebody probably tell me if I'm wrong, that the Pontiac 215 is the Chevy 194 engine with the 230 crank. So it's basically a factory stroker of sorts. I think they only made these 2 years, but we definitely need to repaint that. I don't know where I'm going to get a decal to replace that. I might have to get a sign maker. I got a friend that does that, so I'll inquire with him. I'll put the thing on here where we still got the idiot light in the gauge. I heard people say that this won't work if it's not got the coolant circulating on it. Yeah, it worked before I parked it. See, I'm gonna clean up the way that looks a little bit. Heater core, needs a heater core. That's gonna be fun. Nope, not at all. Gotta figure out how to get in there, and it looks like for that you gotta take the inner fender out. Oh boy. But it doesn't get that cold in Virginia. That's not my top priority. That's also why the heater hose looks like that. Again, not my priority. See how the radiator looks. Dry. So that's perfect. Oh. This thing's got places in the rear bumper for lights. I got some Mustang reverse lights to see if they'll fit. No idea. I converted this to a dual bulb master. I made a video on that. I could probably paint that with something. Found one of the washer bottles. I think they're pretty cool. The triangular ones. Another thing I want to do is I want to put air conditioning in this car. So I need to look at that. I need to look up in the grill there, see if I can figure out how to get a condenser up there. I've had some brackets and all to put a compressor in. And I got it under the dash unit. And if I'm going to do that, I got to make sure that alternator's up to the task. I need to see what the wattage and all on that is, but that's another project. Now, of course she's dirty, and just the fun fact, the color here, that is matched to a tube of Aquafresh toothpaste. Now, how we get little footy prints in here, because this is indoors, that's a mystery. And that's what I was talking about. We have no steering wheel. Very the gauges I put in. I put an air conditioner unit in there, they'll have to move. That radio is just an ornament. I would like some tunes in here. The seats, the front seats are out of one of those oval everything Tauruses. The back seat, that's out of previous generation Taurus, but nonetheless it's all Taurus. Got to check the date on the tires because I don't know how old they are. I may have to change the tires just because of their age. Got Pontiac Tempest center caps for it finally. The wheels and hubcaps were Caprice. And since the Caprice just had a crust, I ran that for a long time, but then I found out, or I managed to find a set of the Pontiac Tempest center caps, so I switched to them. I do think that's appropriate. See if the wipers are any good, who knows. And then the trunk area is too crammed right now to get that in there. Oh, and here's the steering wheel. A couple of years later, paint should be good and cured by now, but see, it looks all right. I mean, I've seen better, I've seen worse. Does not appear to have re-cracked. So, all right, we need to get this mounted up. Find the carburetor, move all this goodly gobbler, and get this old tagger on the road. Another thing I'll say about this car before I get too busy. Last year I went down to the OBX Ride and Custom Festival, and the whole time I was down there I said, next year I'm bringing the Tempest. Well, I've been saying I'm going to get to it. I said when I was home for Christmas that I'd get the car out and do all that. It's almost March now. I got less than 2 months to get this thing ready. So anyway, in light of that, I'm probably going to do this in stages. I mentioned the manifolds. I'll probably keep what's on there and go ahead and get the other one ready. So after I get back, I can put 2-barrel on it. But if everything goes quick, who knows, I might work on that one a little bit and go ahead and switch it to a 2-barrel and all that before I go down. Because let me tell you, this car is slow. This might be the slowest car I have. Funny because this is the same body style basic. They used the Tempest to make the GTO. Obviously not 4-door, but yeah. Slowest car I got is basically a stablemate to a GTO. Oh boy. Alright, so I got the old Rochester. I always thought it was Rochester, it's Rochester. Anyway, got the carburetor rebuilt, and I did that on a separate video because do you really want to sit here and watch me rebuild the carburetor or deal with the show? If you do, link's up here. We got a video for it, and maybe somebody just wants to see this done. Anyway, I digress. Need to get this back on the car, and hopefully get some driving done. Also, while I'm doing that, I think I'm going to go ahead and get my battery charger out and start charging that battery and see if it'll take. Unlikely, but we'll try. Alright, so let's get this off first. There's our dirt cover. Huh. I wonder how this thing works on a kickdown, or is it just these transmissions are different? I really don't know. Huh. And the vacuum line goes back here somewhere. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's controlled by vacuum. Anyway, does this thing go on? Alright, so the linkages evidently go front and back, and the fuel line comes over the top. Huh, interesting. The clip's gone. That's something that's less than desirable. But before I get too far, I need to get one of my gaskets and put under the carburetor. So I found a gasket. One of the ones in the kit that fits very well, perfect. And now I need to get the carburetor to sit on it. Simple enough. And back here. Anyway, this is how the carburetor linkage goes on here. And evidently there's probably supposed to be an E-clip or one of these things that clamps on here and snaps over to hold that. I don't know, it's not a cotter pin because there's no hole in the shaft, but got that. And the vacuum's plugged in. I'm not sure if that T was something that got put on when the other carburetor came or not. And obviously it hooks up different, and that nipple is probably on the Dodge truck, which means I'll need a new one, so let's see what I got around. Alright, so I'm back from the parts store. I was able to get some nuts to hold it down. They're 3/8 fine thread, by the way. And that, the Dorman Help stuff, they had a thing of like link holders. So I'll drop them on the ground. And then I got this thing, and I'm hoping this is the right size. Guy cost enough money, and it's in a sealed package, so I wasn't able to try it, but I did have already a 3/8 to 5/16 adapter, and I'm hoping with that and this I can get, because I really wanted one that had 90 on it, just because of it pointing straight at that valve cover. Let's see, make it so I can't return it. No, that's not gonna work. So I may have to order something, but that really took the wind out of my sails there. Because that's enough to say it ain't gonna run tonight because I can't get fuel to it. On the bright side, I got a bunch of 4 barrels already, and I'm going to be using for other projects, so I'll be able to use this. Just not today. Well, that is unfortunate. I'm just going to set the adapter there. I may or may not end up using that. What I will do is set this carburetor down. And I'll go ahead and get some of these nuts. I decided to go ahead and get 2 new ones. I found one of the old ones. But we're going to put 2 brand new ones on here. Yeah, not easy to get on here. Carburetor. Wooly bully, wooly bully, carburetor, go on intake, sooner or later. Carburetor, carburetor. That was a pain in the neck to get to. So I'm going to have to revisit the fuel line thing. I'm no further in that than I was when I started. I'll figure it out. In the meantime, though, I still got some other stuff I need to hook up. So the rod to the throttle linkage. Alright, so let's see what these are. Is that too big? I think it is, but We gotta start somewhere. Yeah, that's too big. I found one and dropped it. That stands to reason. I need to upgrade the lights in this bit like I did in the front. Okay, I'm gonna drop another one. I think that was the two in the pack that would fit. Let's drop them all on the floor. I think that's a grand idea. It's a choke rod, or you have a heat riser thingamadoodad. I think this is the one they'll need. Alright, so overnight, got the carb on. Didn't have an inlet, but I got these things on. Got them clipped on. Everything's good to go as far as it being attached. Still got to deliver fuel, and I also found I have a problem with some power steering hoses here. I'm not a big movie person, but I've seen Days of Thunder a few times. And I remember Harry talking to a car and then saying, "This is not the answer I'm looking for out of you."
This is not the kind of answer I'm looking for from you.
Well, that's exactly what I'm feeling like right now. Evidently, in all my stuff to put the carburetor back on, I managed to break power steering line. Now, I believe that's the return line, so that is not that big a deal, because I think I can, from the looks of things, it's just got a pinch clamp on each end. I should be able to replace that. Oh, yeah, hose clamp there, pinch clamp there. So as long as I got some hose the right diameter, that shouldn't be an issue. But I do believe in doing these in pairs, and it'd be hard for me to believe that the high pressure one is far behind. So anyway, wouldn't you know, today I submitted a Rock Auto order, so I can't put this in there with it. So I guess I'll see what I can come up with. Power steering hose. Always something with these old cars. So this morning went and got some new ones. Actually, one I ordered off Amazon, and the other one I picked up at AutoZone. Don't know why, but that was the most economical and fastest way to go. And they're the same brand, so I guess that's good. Alright, the end of the hose broke off. Alright, so I grabbed a 3/4 inch wrench, and no alternate sizes, so you know it'll be something else. I'm right. That one's 3/4. Well, of course, this one's not. Probably 13/16. And that one will probably require a line wrench. Well, cool thing is the 3/4 inch line wrench and the 13/16 are on the same one. Alright. Also, while I'm at it, got some dikes. I'm going to try to get this pinch clamp off. Well, I broke the clamp, so that's good for something, I guess. I can't get the other end of this off. Well, it'd probably been real intelligent would have been change the pump too. but no chance of that happening. Alright, so now the new one. Got these some tongs to go on there. And we got a problem. I got the one that says it went on there. It looks like it went on there. However, I have two male fittings. And wouldn't you know, we have a male fitting coming off the pump. Well, when you're working with cars, male and male don't go together. I have to get a double female or something to make that work. I do, however, have this return line. That should do nicely. I may take a little bit off it, but oh yeah, we can definitely make that work. But now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do a double male here. And of course, the original hose had female connections, so now we gotta figure out how to adapt that. So let me put my thinking cap on, we'll see what I come up with. And no, there's not an adapter on it. Alright, so a quick trip up the road to Lowe's. And I came up with this. This is a 3/8 flare to 3/8 flare brass fitting. And it's double female. So that should do what I want. And I did take the line in to test it. So, feeling pretty good about things. And it's fitting on the back of the pump nicely. Alright. Now, oh boy, what side was it? The side with the shorter stub out goes to the pump. I just got that finger tight. Meanwhile, I'm going to take the other end. Unhook the return line for the time being. Alright, so the pressure line's installed. And just what I did was I put this end on lightly and went down and put the one on the steering box on lightly, and then I was able to go back and tighten them up and know that I was pretty well right with the way I was doing it. Now, gonna need to attach the return line. The return line's a lot less fussy, so I'm going to work that to my advantage and get that on the knobs. I'm going to find some clamps to hold that on. See if I got some fuel injection clamps, because I think they hold a little tighter. Alright, so I went poking around my stuff and I did find some fuel injection clamps. Yeah, they're a bit stronger than the standard, whatever they're called, than standard hose clamps. Anyway, that's what I'll use here. The guy at the AutoZone remarked about how tough that stuff was to cut. I said, yeah. There's some pressure by the side of the power steering fluid. Alright. That's one end. Now the other one had a pinch fitting on, which I got some of them, but I think I'm going to try to be consistent here. using the fuel injection system. Alright, so the unplanned power steering hose replacement project, I'll mark that one down as complete. Now, we gotta get fuel to the carburetor. Oh, I do need to, yeah, I'm gonna need to put some fluid back in this thing. But nonetheless, we gotta get some fuel to it. And then, I really don't see any reason we can't crank on this thing. Can't drive it because there's no steering wheel on it yet, but we'll get to that. We'll check the brake fluid. Yeah, I'm feeling good about this. Anyway, let me get a stub out going there, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I went snooping around my brake fitting box and found I actually have a few fuel line fittings for 5/16. And what do you know? Perfection. And I got some 5/16 fuel lines, so I just kind of roughly stick this up here, get an idea I want to cut it that long. Maybe see if I can tighten that bend a little bit more without crimping it. And make sure that when I put a flare on it, I put the nut on first. Because I can't tell you how many beautiful flares I've done and forgotten to put the nut on. Especially when you got a bend like that, there's only one thing you can do. Cut it off and try over. So anyway, gonna see. Yeah, I really think that knife was going to cut it, no. But I scored it, and that's enough for me to get it over and cut it and flare it and do all that nice stuff. Alright, so I got a beautiful flare on the end. I put a little dope on the threads. The opposite end where the hose goes, yeah, I cut it with a grinder so it's not exactly flat, but I put a small flare on it, and that's just to keep it from, you know, ejecting itself. So yeah, that's especially when you got inline sits where everything's over the exhaust. You want to minimize your chances of a fuel problem. And I'll be the first to admit, one of these fuel injection clamps is a little overkill. But means I have one right here. I'll have to go looking for one. That's exactly what's going to get used. Yeah, I should be good there. Now I just need to get a wrench and tighten up the fuel line. Half-inch wrench. Actually tight. Now I'm going to clean up these wrenches and all for a minute. Then I guess we'll see if I got a battery, if that battery took a charge, and see if we can't get her to spit at us a little bit. Gotta make sure I got coolant and power steering fluid and all that, but time to make some noise! Alright, so I'm starting to get pretty excited about firing up the old Pontiac. I just don't have the best feeling about this battery, so before I go and hook it up and dump gas and crank and all that, I'm just gonna put a tester on it. 7 volts. I mean, it's got something, but I ain't gonna crank it. Oh boy. See if I got another one around, or if I'm going out again and buying something, which I don't want to do, but I guess I'll have to eventually. Alright, found this battery on my trailer. And that's showing, how much exactly was it? 12.12 volts. Double 12. That should fire it. Now, in all honesty, I don't know how old this battery is, what it might have come out of, why it was sitting on the trailer and not in a vehicle. These are all good questions. And I have no idea what the answers are. But, to try to start this vehicle up, should be good enough. Now this ground wire, that's something that's getting replaced before I take this thing out of town. I'm not using this again because it's more trouble than it's worth. Alright, no sparks, which I wouldn't expect. Also, know this car does have a parasitic drain. That's something that's going to be that's something I'm going to have to address before this goes out of town. And I did, also I'll mention I did fill up the power steering reservoir. Could use some water, but I don't plan on running it very long. Alright, so here we go, try to put some in the bowls. This is last year's boat gas. I was pretty good about using non-ethanol, but I think this is non-ethanol. Not positive. Let's see what happens when I twist the key. Let's see if I can find the key. That would be handy. No real serious attempts, but she cranked, so we know it's good in that regard. Well, I'd like to see a little faster spinning, but you know, we got battery questionable over there, so just keep the expectations realistic. I might have to go looking for my lone wolf, because I don't know if we're getting spark, because we know it's getting fuel, and like I said, I know this car, but she doesn't even sound like she's trying, so that's leading me to believe spark. I was hoping I could just do it by twisting key, but anyway, let me see what I see under here. I also say that when it sat from 1988 to 2008, the big thing that we had to do to get it running was file the points. And when it sat from 2014 to 2017, I had to file the points. And so, since it sat here since 2022 and it's 2025, which one bad guy saying the points? Maybe I'll change this thing over to electronic. Down the road, maybe. Alright, so this is what we got inside the distributor. So anyway, what I'm hoping for is just be able to sand the points right there and get it so it's working. I know this isn't the best focus, but I got you sitting on top of the heater hoses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it running. I'm going to fire it up. And I'm going to review my own video to see if we're getting anything. Alright, so literally now I'm going to go review what y'all already know. Alright, so what I found out that y'all already know is couldn't see the points with that view, so I've repositioned the camera, got you tangled in the plug wires, and we'll see what happens now. Alright, now to review again. Alright, so what I thought I saw that time was a little bit of a lazy spark. So I've sanded it down some more. And I say we try again. Alright, so I've made an executive decision here with it getting a little later and the batteries kind of... I don't think I got but one more cranking session with this battery before I'm going to have to put it on charge and let it sit for a while. So I sanded the points down one more time, put the cap on it. We're just going to crank it up and hope for the best. If that doesn't work, then I got some decisions I got to make. Do I put new points in it? But also, I got some plans for this car. I want to spice it up just a little bit, not too much, but enough that if I merge into traffic, I don't get run over. Think of, of course we got stop points, and new ones will probably be maybe a little better. Then we got the idea of like Petronics or Accel or one of those conversions that converts it to electronic. Wouldn't have to worry about points in. And I think that gives a little better spark. Or do we HEI this thing? Which, with this being a General Motors product, as popular as those C10 Chevrolet trucks are, shouldn't be too bad to get one of them, so. Anyway, I got some other upgrades, but I don't plan on doing them before I go to the beach just because I don't want to tear into this car and have to put it back together on the time crunch. And I got some other things I want to do, but yes, I got to make a decision on this distributor if it doesn't start now. One more quick squirt. Alright, go hook the battery up to a charger, give it a nice fresh charge, and go work on another project for a little bit. We'll come back to this. We're going to get it to run, just not sure how. So literally, right now, I am watching my own video of me taking the steering wheel off. Because 3 years ago was the last time, or when I did that, so
I reckon the first thing we got to
I gotta see how I got it off so I know how to put it back on.
It's about 3/4 inch.
Yeah, we know.
So I get back down.
That screw stripped out, that's good to know.
That's not a big deal. Trip to a hardware store will do that.
Alright.
Sometimes you get...
So I got a little good information there. Screw stripped out. Also, we know that there's a washer and then some other thing that goes below the horn ring. Evidently this is the horn thing, so hopefully that doesn't need to be replaced. Same with the turn signal switch. Everything good in here? Yep. Now, the steering wheel on my Dodge truck had like a little key in it, so you had it caught right every time. Well, Fords don't do that, and evidently nor do GMs. So I'm going to think it went like this. Alright, evidently this goes on here, somehow. There was a washer somewhere. Oh, so I found the washer. It was in the floorboard. So anyway, pushed the steering wheel back on, put that funny looking metal ring on there, put the washer on. Now I'm tightening the nut. Now, I'm hoping I got this clocked right, because, well, I may have to drive it around a little bit to know exactly. And this thing may be a booger to do that with. Alright, that's snug. I'm almost positive I'm going to have to reclock it though. And who knows, maybe it won't be as bad as I'm making it out to be. So, now we got to get this on. Alright, so I managed to find a few screws. I'm going to hope that they will work. Otherwise, I'm back to square one. Let's see. Don't think they're long enough. Which is what I was afraid of. Pardon me. Yeah, they're too short. Oh well, back to looking for screws. And like I didn't have 3 years to get some new ones. Alright, so I rode up to an old Tractor Supply close by. And I took my screw bolt thing that I needed. See, the head's pretty good and stripped out on that. And I found out it was a number 10 32 thread, so it's a fine thread. It's also 3/4 of an inch long. Unfortunately, what I found though was if I wanted a number 10 32, I had two choices: 1 inch and 2 inch. It really wasn't crazy about this head either, but like I said, I didn't have many choices. So I got the 1 inch. So I'm going to have to shorten it a little bit. I'm going to show you something. That little package came with nuts. Now when you cut these things, ideally what you'd like to be able to do is run a die up the bolt, cut it off, and then back the die off, and that would fit your threads, because you're undoubtedly going to screw them up. But let's just say you don't have a die that size, or you don't have a die at all, or you can't find your die, or don't feel like looking for it. The last one applies to me. You can take your nut, run it all the way up, then you cut your bolt to the desired length, and then when you back the nut off, that thing will fit your threads for you. So, little trick. Alright, so measure very carefully and mark your length. Cut it off. Now because I got this bevel, as you can see, this has got a little bit of a bevel on the end, so I'm going to recreate the bevel, sorta, kinda. This thing's liable to be hot. Moses, yeah. It's hot. So now we're just going to I can feel the resistance, so it's doing the threads. Now what, it's almost all the way off, I'm going to screw it back on. Then we're going to back off a second time. One down, 2 to go. So here we go. 3 modified screws. Now you have that one right there. I did cut that one a little short, so we're going to hope it's long enough. If it's not, 8 screws came in that pack. I'll just make another one. All right, so there we go. You got the screws back on there. That one did work out. That's the one that's about in the 4 o'clock position. I just don't have a free hand or you'd see my finger pointing at it. So now, all we need is a finishing touch. So anyway, I really hope I got that wheel clocked right, because if not, that's gonna be a real bummer. Well, yeah, steering wheel, I mean, did I ever claim it was expertly repaired? No. I did it on a budget. Looks decent. But yeah, we gotta try get this thing back going once my distributor parts come in. I know that speedometer jumps. Gonna have to try to look at that. And if a fuel gauge doesn't work, have to figure out how fixable that is. And over on that side is just some idiot lights. Which previous video I made my idiot lights work in conjunction with some aftermarket gauges. I made them look pretty good, I think. I am gonna have to drop them down some though when I put the air conditioner in, but that's all right. I'll have the air conditioner. That'll be fantastic. The air conditioner box there. Also, hopefully I can get to a point where I put a little bit of a console in here. And in that, my goal is just to have a radio, have a few creature comforts, cup holders, and if that gas gauge is bad, I'll put a separate one down there and the console and make it look nice. Okay, so last night while I was finishing up the steering wheel, I was putting stuff away. I noticed this. May have something with why it didn't start that last time. You gotta be kidding me. But anyway, I worked on those points. I really don't think there's any life left in them. But I can definitely see that having something to do with it. So anyway, my Petronets did show up today, so we're going to put the Petronets in. I may or may not just try one more time with the points just to see if, just so I know. So I'm going to just try one more time, just see if I can get anything. Yeah, that's working. Dang it. Alright, since we know for sure now we have spark and we know the rotor's in there, idiot, put some gas in it. See what happens. Yep, she'll run. Well, we got something to work with here at least. Alright, so the Tempest, she's alive. Got it running. First thing, I'm going to step out here a little more so I'm actually outside, because we need some fresh air. Got pretty smoky in there pretty quick. Definitely going to have to adjust the mixture screw on it, get it right. Probably want to get it outside to do that. Still got to make the decision on whether or not I'm going to put the Petronics in it now or later. Kind of wish I hadn't bought that now, but nonetheless it'll be a good upgrade at some point. Gotta make sure we got a cooling system, brakes. The throttle cable is frayed and it's sticking in there. That's one of the things that was on my to-do list when I parked it in here. So I'm gonna change the throttle cable. Dang on. Switch to my Fairlane beam for a backdrop for a minute. Now inhaling all of the exhaust smoke over here. If you want to see this car, yeah, there's some stuff coming to the channel on this. This does not need reviving. I could move this, and I got a flat tire, but other than that, that's all it takes to get this one going. But yeah, we got a good start. Get this car ready to go down to the OBX show. But we still got some work to do. I guess y'all know. My goodness, she's shedding. I got it all sleek. I know the donut, possibly the manifold gasket. If I gotta do the manifold gasket though, I'm gonna look real hard at putting the new stuff I got on it. You know, just doing my upgrades, but yeah, I mean, if I need to, I just change the gasket. And then I got a list of things that I need to get done for it to go out of town, and some things I'd like to get done before it goes out. Such as the heater hose being looped. Not having a heater core. I'd like to get that fixed, but I don't have to have it done. I'd really like to have air conditioning in it, but I don't have to. There's a few other things, but nonetheless, I think I need to concentrate first on getting that throttle cable replaced so I can bring it outside, make sure that I got antifreeze in it, make sure I got brake fluid, all that stuff. Bring it out here so I can really start to get into some of the roadworthy stuff. But we know we got a runner. Let me go get a fan and try to get some of the smoke out of there so I can do some more work on it. But she runs. Alright, so I dug up my universal throttle cable. And I'm hoping that this isn't too difficult. I can figure it out in a short time. Been looking over the instructions. I think you can shorten this thing, which is good because I think I'm going to need that. But from what I've been able to tell, the first thing I got to do is get the old one out of the car. So let's go do that. Alright, now, here we go. Got the cable out. This one doesn't seem bad. Alright, so upon removal of the old throttle cable, I've inspected it, and it actually appears to be in pretty good shape. Seems to be smooth. And it appears, I dare say, I was wrong. It's not frayed. And this is good and usable. Now, since I already have a replacement, I contemplated just putting the replacement on. But I came to a decision, being that this one's a universal, and I have had a throttle cable snap on me before when I was 50 miles from home. I got lots of spare parts I carry around in all the vehicles. I'm going to take this one and put in the box of spare parts. So if this or any of my vehicles I'm out in, we ever break a throttle cable, I got a replacement. Alright, battery died. But the other point I was making was this universal cable. Not only could it help me if one of the other ones breaks, but this old Chevy here, currently no engine in it. But it's going to be getting an engine, and let's just say it's not a stock one. I'm not going to spill the beans on what I'm going to do yet. But a universal throttle cable may be an asset when I get to this. Okay, yeah, definitely. Here's the throttle cable that goes with this car. Right here. And that thing's locked up. This one is bad. And, like I said, I'm putting a different engine in here, so I think I know where that cable's going to get used. Alright, so this one does need sprucing up. So, go try to juggle my phone and everything at once. Alright, so what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to take a little bit of this heavy-duty penetrating oil, stick it. See if we can't. And go to the other side. Do the same thing. Oh yeah, we've definitely got a good cable here. Anyway, I'm going to let that dry, then I'm going to wipe all the oil off the outside. And we're going to spritz this and make it look like brand new. We're going to, as some people say, we're going to rebuild. Anyway, that's what we're going to do this. Alright, so I believe now that my problem is this pivot point right here. Because, I mean, you can see that linkage is pretty stiff. So I'm going to take that same can of penetrating oil and just spray it, work it in. Yeah, we're getting less and less resistance. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do to get this looking a little nicer. Just going to give it a nice coat of black. In all honesty, if I want to do the whole thing black, I could. But I want it to be just a little snazzier than plain old black. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Just, why stop here? Okay, so the new cable sheathing is looking really nice. The cable itself not bad, but the ends, I think I'm gonna put some new metal on those. Replace some metal pieces. What do you think? Alright. And y'all know, of course, I was being sarcastic. Because by brand new metal, I mean new metal. It's not bad now, this piece. So I'm gonna let this hang from the tree and dry. And that, I think that looks pretty good. And budget's right. This is what I use, by the way, hammer finished silver. Not the can I was looking for, but I think it's a good match. Alright, so I started installing the throttle cable. And as you can see right there, yeah, that's a paper clip hanging from it. Just a little tip, if you break a small carter pin, you can use one of them. I'm just using that temporary till I get out to Harbor Freight and get one of those variety boxes. But I still got some paint drying, the little retainer tab, I got paint drying on that. Also show you down here the exhaust leak. There's absolutely no donut in that thing. So, I got that soaking. So hopefully I don't break the bolts off. I do have a little repair tabs if I do, which looks like they won't work on this type of manifold. Stands to reason. So while I got a few minutes before I gotta put it up for the night, I'm going to work on what I can. We already know that the dash needs some stuff. I really want to get that fuel gauge working. If I only get one gauge working properly, I want it to be the fuel one. We got mechanical gauges to do everything else, and my phone can do a GPS speedometer, but I want that fuel gauge working. So another thing on my list is my blinker, my front blinker lights. The rear ones work, the front ones don't. So go in and see if we can't figure out why. Yes, I do actually use manual screwdrivers sometimes. Truth is, the Makita thing's in the other garage. I don't feel like walking over there. Well, that might have something to do with it. There are no bulbs in there. And, yeah, that bumper got painted without the bulbs in there, so the socket's basically shot. So I'm going to have to put a new socket in there. And dollars to donuts, I bet you the wires aren't even attached. What a freaking mess under here. Oh my goodness. I just don't know what to say. This is, there are no appropriate words. I wish I could just unsee all this and the lights magically work, but as you know, we can't do that, so come on under here. If I gotta suffer, y'all do too. I mean that in the best possible way. Just a joke. Alright, do you see what I see here? Alright, here's the pigtail goes to that socket. We need to remove that. Here's some wires that are go up and look like maybe somehow they may have connected here. And then we got this, looks like speaker wire that's been stubbed down here. I don't know what that's supposed to do. I have heard tales that from the previous owner, aka Uncle George, that when his son had this car, there was a lit up skull on the radio antenna, I think, that was stuck on the top of a piece of vacuum cleaner pipe. And when you accompany that story with the typical teenager silliness, because God knows I had some teenager silliness, ain't no telling what has happened under this car and when. But I'm going to do my best to straighten it out. Alright, so where does that put us with everything? We got it running. We know it runs. We know that it didn't sound bad. We got a good bass going. We know there's a slight possibility we got a brake issue. We knew all along we had to get the exhaust on. We know we got electrical gremlins. We got the steering wheel back on. I'm gonna have to wrap it up for this episode 1. Just try to keep the length of these things down a little bit. And 2, it's been a while since I put one out, so I need to get the episode out. But I'm going to drill out the manifold and get the exhaust hooked up. Figure out this situation with the front turn signals. The parasitic drain, I talked to my cousin-in-law who's an electrician. He's going to come help me out with that, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to try to get some new tires on this thing. And I'd like to get some tunes in this thing at very minimum. I like to get all the, like to get air conditioning. I don't know if that's going to be done in time. But definitely I think we can get some tunes going. Want to get that gas gauge going. And just want to get this thing out on the road, drive it, and make sure that there are no little gremlins hiding under that hood that we still need to address. So, coming at you soon, we'll have step 2 of a revival of the 64 Pontiac. But until then, be nice to each other, take care, enjoy yourself, enjoy your hobbies, and I'll see you again soon.